go, dude. How are you doing, man?
Hello.
Good, man. Good. Thank you for having me on.
I haven't seen you in how many months now? It's been like a while. I think it's been a year since we like met actually. Kind of
Yeah,
around this
yeah,
time.
in December. Yeah.
You've come like an enormous. I mean, like it was weird meeting you too, because I think you had like 6,000 followers on Instagram at the time or something. Like you had like a non-existent Instagram presence, and Luke was like, "Yeah, we're taking this new kid. We just found him. I think he's gonna be a star." And Luke's the owner of Iron Rebel, by the way, Knut.
I'm just
And I
making it
remember.
a little Instagram story to see if someone joins in from there.
Oh, tag me and tag Carlos, and we can
I,
reshare it.
I can do that.
Um,
Um,
but yeah, I remember him being like, "This guy's gonna be a star." And then we saw you, and I was like, "He's like ready to be an Olympian." I don't know why. Like you like had not been in like a national show in like 2 years, and I remember seeing you be like, "What the fuck is this dude doing? Not just dunking on pros right now." Um, and yeah, it was mind blowing to me. That was you were the most pro ready amateur bodybuilder I think I had ever seen in person, at least in the last 2 years.
Yeah,
Um,
it had been a while at the time still since I competed, and then another year went by.
what was that time like for, and was it intentional, or was it something that you determined you needed on the basis of
Um,
like
it was like somewhat intentional, somewhat like unintentional because it was intentional because I was in graduate school, and then I was, kind of just establishing like my professional career.
Yeah.
And then there were times where I had tried to prep like 2020, where it just didn't work out, the whole COVID situation. And I couldn't get a qualifier,
Interesting.
to get qualified for nationals. So it's just like, yeah, it just didn't work out, but everything happens for a reason because we're here now.
Well, yeah, man, it's funny when you say that too, because people don't realize how much shit gets in the way of like a successful prep. Like
Yeah.
just like how much can interfere with, especially let's just talk in like the last like 8 weeks of a prep. Like if anything comes up in your life,
Oh,
it takes so much of your time and energy. At that point, you're doing enough cardio to where it's like a second workout altogether. It's hard to find time for things, man. Like really hard. It's got to be one of the most time restrictive portions of anyone's life who partakes in the lifestyle at all.
yeah. And I mean, this prep wasn't even. I switched to my headphones. Just switched to my headphones.
yeah,
Can you hear me? I switched to my headphones.
do
Not
that.
quite as well.
Not quite as well. Okay, I'll take them off. So I thought it would be a little bit better. Um, there we go.
The first time I saw you was on, I think that was on Patrick Tor's story.
Yeah. So, yeah,
I
that
have to
was.
ask you about this actually, Carlos.
We could dive right into it.
I didn't know about this because Knut is coached by Patrick. I didn't know this that y'all stopped working together.
Yeah.
It seems like
And,
just before nationals too, like a weeks before.
Yeah.
yeah, it was about like 10, 14 days before, and I mean, Patrick's great. Like we had an awesome off season. I put on the size that I need to put on, and that translated to the stage, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like the last few weeks. It was just like we weren't really gelling on how to proceed forward because my body was going backwards, and I wasn't sleeping probably like 2 hours a night, and I mean, anyone who diets real hard and takes the supplements that we take knows that it can affect your sleep, and I guess it just affected me to the point where I would go to bed at 9 p.m., wake up at 11 and stay up for like an hour and a half because I couldn't sleep. Maybe fall asleep for like in 30, 40 minutes, and it would continue throughout the night. So I was just this broken sleep. And I was probably sleeping like 2 to 3 hours a night, and it just was, how it is when the diet's super hard, low in carbs, and you're cardioing every like 90 minutes a day, maybe even more, and the cortisol level is raised, stress is raised, and it just affects your body. And for me, my body just started going backwards, and I actually started gaining weight. And hey, like I've seen people in forums say, "Oh man, he must have been cheating." I'm like, believe what you believe, but we pulled off 20 pounds in 10 days, and that could have happened if I was just cheating, right? It was the
That's got
stress.
to be the most normie take of all time too. Like if
Yeah,
anyone who's at this level of bodybuilding isn't cheating 8 weeks out unless they have like some kind of massive personal like issue happening in their life, and even
Yeah.
still probably not. Like that's like
yeah.
no one's
So
doing that.
it was just and we just couldn't figure out a way to go forward. So I felt that I had to make a decision that was best for me at the time, and it was no disrespect to Patrick. I think he's a great coach. We did wonderful work in the off season. Like, man, I put the size on me to translate to the stage. So big props to that, and I think he's an awesome coach. It's just like I said, not everybody's for everybody, and it just didn't work. It just felt like proceeding forward, I had to make a change. And it was a last minute change, right? It was a fourth quarter type of decision, that we had to do. So, and for me, it worked out in the direction that I wanted to.
What was
I
the
ended up
biggest
pulling.
changes they did?
Say again?
Patrick versus the new coach. What's the name of the new coach, by the way?
Cash Guidry.
I didn't know that Cash did anything by way of nutrition. I had only ever known him to train people put them through workouts essentially.
So, say again the biggest changes between the two.
Yeah.
Well, he pulled out a lot of just like the over-the-counter supplements, like the Tudkas and things like that you take, and he just pulled it out, and then do we speak freely on here, PEDs, or yes or no?
You can say whatever you like about yourself.
Okay.
You say what you want yourself.
Knut lives in Norway, so it's a bit different for him to talk about himself.
But you can say whatever you like about yourself. That's up to you.
Okay. Well, he pulled a lot of those things out of there, and made a couple of changes.
What kind of stuff did he pull out? Was it particularly liver toxic shit, or what was like?
Yeah, more so. He definitely pulled out some of the injects. That was probably keeping away. Like the trend keeps you awake. And then he actually helped me supplement something like I might be pronouncing it wrong, but Phenibut, really helped.
Phenibut's awesome, dude. It's a really cool nootropic.
Yeah, really helped with my sleep actually, and that, I mean, I went from sleeping 2 to 3 hours a night to a little bit more, to slowly creeping up 4 or 5, and then what happened was the week before nationals I slept 12 hours, like the Wednesday before national I slept 12 hours, and I, right hand to God, I'm putting my mother, I dropped 10 pounds overnight.
Dude, look at the photo I just sent you, Knut, between the stage difference. I just sent it to the group. I saw this today because I literally saw you post about Cash, and I was like, holy shit, you're not training. I didn't know that you'd left Patrick. And then I went and I looked on his profile and saw where you were, and I totally understood in that moment. I was like, that is just pure water retention. That is a crazy amount of cortisol right there.
I was about 242, right? And it was and honestly, I think it was just the stress, right? It was a lot of the stress and, the not sleeping and the low food. So he had introduced some more carbs to my diet. I mean, who would do that, right? 10 days out. He's like, you should probably push more. He actually reduced cardio, but he had me doing intervals, HIIT instead.
Yeah.
But the cardio was reduced, and I'm like, why am I doing HIIT? Dude, I'm 10 days out. It's gonna make me even worse.
That is a weird call.
Right, but so go ahead.
How much cardio did you do before?
I was around 90 minutes.
Okay.
And he reduced it to
how many sessions?
45, usually like that.
Okay, because I'm just comparing what Patrick did to me all the time here as I lead to here.
Right. So it was 90 minutes, right? I mean, I've done more. I've done way more. Done way more before. I was with Dave Palumbo. I've done a lot of cardio.
You were with Palumbo? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was one of my first coaches, and I've done way more cardio with him. So it was I had no problem.
Don't say anything bad, or he'll make an entire episode about you on YouTube.
Oh, that's awesome, man. He's awesome. Dave has always been awesome to me.
He seems like a nice guy.
But yeah, so I went from 90 to about actually half of that. So, but again, it was the HIIT, right? It was the interval stuff, and I was like, man, it's going to make me terrible. I'm just going to stress my body out more. But it actually didn't, and I can't give you an actual scientific answer as to why. But
that sounds like bodybuilding,
right? And but everything actually just turned out right. Then the weight started coming off, so I went from 242 to 235 and to 232, and then the Wednesday before the show I was 230, and I went to bed, and like I said, I slept 12 hours throughout, intermittently throughout the night. I got up to use the bathroom, peeing, and I just I woke up, I was 10 pounds lighter.
It sounds like it is a mix of everything he did, the cardio, the PEDs changes,
Mhm.
the food that he added, a mix of
And
everything.
he actually changed out what I didn't notice that he actually changed out was he took out egg whites for me, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, like I think I was having a lot of bloating issues previously, noted by my girlfriend saying that I was very gassy, right? But uh, so she was, and in my side shots, I would see like a little bit of lower belly distension, and I'm like, man, I never had that before. But I'm eating like 400 milliliters of egg whites in the morning, 400 milliliters of egg whites at night.
And you're cooking these, yeah?
Yeah, I'm cooking them. I'm cooking them. I don't drink them because I don't
Way
know. I
worse
can't
for
sleep.
digestion as well. Like that would, first of all, less bioavailable protein, and then second off, like your digestion would be fucking decimated. But so many people prescribe it because there's a lot of just like dogma. People would be like, yeah,
It's
put
a
it
cheap
down.
protein too. It's easy, a cheap
Very
source.
cheap.
But yeah, so he actually took those out and replaced it with like chicken instead, and so that took away a lot of bloating and like my in my abdomen as well. Probably just a lot of like stress in the gut, a lot of inflammation of the gut. So that probably helped out. So he just made these changes, took out the protein powder, replaced it with whole food, things like that. He just made like these little changes that really helped out a lot. I think from where my body was at the time, and yeah, so it just we just were able to just come down and pull it off, man. And again, like I think Patrick's an awesome coach. It's just that my body's very weird, and I know that. If it gets stressed out, like some people maybe think push, 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 push. Push the cardio, push the low food, and it'll come off. But my body does the opposite. It wants to hold. It wants to put size on easily, but it wants to lose body fat very hard. Like it's very
And
stubborn.
wants to hang on to it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm very easy. I'm very fluctuating like water, as you can tell. I dropped 10 pounds overnight. Like I fluctuate water very easily. None of this was done with like any diuretics or anything like that. So I fluctuate water very easily, and so that's why like he also reduced my sodium intake, of course, and that drastically helped out. So
Dude, I think
yeah,
that diuretics ruin more preps than they make. I think that more peaks are ruined by diuretics than people ever consider. Like it scares me when people start to introduce diuretics, especially if their look is solid, trying to get a little bit more off. Because more often than not, I'll see like what diuretics don't know where to pull water from. It doesn't know if it's pulling sub Q. So a lot of times you could absolutely deflate yourself while not touching your sub Q water. Like it's just a wild card, not knowing what's gonna happen.
you end up looking soft and
Yeah,
and
dude.
at the same time,
Flat and
right?
soft.
Yeah, flat and soft. So yeah, but that was what happened, and again, like it was just a kind of a game time decision that I had to make. And again, like Pat's a great coach, obviously by his track record, the people he's prepped, and the people he's brought in. So
It seems like a lot of what I see with Patrick though is like it's there are some people for whom his protocols work very well, and then others whom I'm like I don't know if they fucked up, but I don't like what I'm seeing with their stage look. You know what I mean? It just depends. Like I didn't like Hollingshead's look at the Olympia at all. I thought he would looked incredibly soft and flat. But then Ian always comes in really hard and full. So like how like it's very person to person, and how where like putting it all on the coach as well is challenging in that a coach could have great protocol that he just learned didn't work well for that person. There could have been some variable in a personal life that led to there being more stress, less sleep, something like that. It's hard to account for all of those variables as being like coach dependent.
yeah. Again, it's that's why I said not everybody's for everybody, and what works for one person won't work for the next, and that's just kind of what it is. And that's no shame on again, that's no shame on the athlete, no shame on the coach. It's just just didn't work out. So I mean, it's just how everything's shaked out. But again, great coach, and he definitely taught me how to be more of a stringent athlete in the off season, how to approach my off season, as I should, like getting all, being consistent with the meals, not having too many meals off plan, making sure you're getting all of your meals in, like that's like, oh, did I lose you guys?
No, it
No,
seems like
we still hear
for
your
us.
audio. It just seems like your video froze real quick.
Okay.
There you
And
go.
now it's back.
Sorry. Yeah. But, yeah, that's like I've learned a lot from Patrick, and I'm and especially, with how my body is, when it comes to the off season.
How is
Yes.
have you started your new off season with a new coach?
Well, right now we're in like that rebound,
Yeah.
rebound phase, reverse diet phase, and yeah, things are going very well. I'm actually getting my bloods done on Tuesday, and
Nice.
I'll be getting that done, and very very excited for that. And we'll be, we slowly came off everything, over the course of the holidays. So
How do you
yeah,
feel
it's
coming off? Like, what's your experience typically for you personally?
I've had different
Especially.
experiences. I've had different experiences. I've had experiences where like I've I've come off and like everything hurts, like
Hmm.
everything hurts. Like my joints are sore, my muscles, everything just was achy. But this one so far has been. I think it's because the way I approached my training a little bit. Like before, I was like, I get right back to it, balls to the walls, heavy, heavy, heavy.
Hmm.
But this time around, I've really changed my training up to focus more on, the eccentric, portion of the movements, really just controlling the weight. So that way, I'm not forced, but I don't have to use heavier weights. I just make the weight feel heavier, right?
Yeah.
So I'm saving my joints at the time, and I'm just making sure that I'm just being smart with my training. Where before I'm like, all right, back to heavy lifting as fast as possible, push, 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 push. I actually did it. I actually fucked up a little bit. Um, the other week. I was doing some squats. I jumped up like a 40-pound jump in my squats, and I was just like, got to get back to lifting heavy. And I went from
Hmm.
like 435, which was like a good set for 12, and I went up to like 475 for a set of like 9 or 8 to 9. And I'm like, my legs could handle it, the muscles could handle it, right? But my knees were achy, my low back was sore and tight. So I'm like, ooh, yeah,
Estrogen has to be so finicky there too. Like your joint lubrication has to be
yeah. So
absolutely subpar, man. It's got to be crazy.
and the diet's good right now. I'm getting a variety of like protein and carbohydrates in. Particularly in the past, I would be like mostly like just like rice, but now I'm getting like pasta, um, like a gluten-free pasta. Getting some, just some like different variations of like breads, gluten-free. I kind of go for the gluten-free, just because like I have ulcer colitis, and I just want to be um, very careful with my stomach.
Mm.
I'm very particular with that now, as I get older. So yeah, so I get a variety of carbohydrates and a variety of protein sources right now, which is really nice. And get a clean refeed cheat meal, whatever you want to call it, once a week of some sushi. So I can't complain about that.
I love that sushi is like so far from a really an actual cheat meal. Like that's my favorite thing about it's like it's a clean refeed. The refeed's the best way to put it, right? Because it's like
Yeah.
it's gonna be like you're getting like the glucose from the rice and then like the overall like it's just
Fish.
fish and rice. Like you and I have had sushi before. You do
Mhm.
sashimi, like that's all. It's just like it's it's very straightforward getting
Yeah. And
getting
it's
a
cool
blood.
because I found like a nice all you can eat place. So I'm like, bring it, bring it
Oh
all.
yeah, you're coastal too, right? So you've got like, or at
Yeah.
least more coastal than I am.
Mhm.
It's better than Sushi Junai too. It's better than that probably. Nothing's that good there.
So yeah, right now it's good. But I'm back up weight to like 245. But the conditioning's holding well. I mean, of course, that's just like, muscle glycogen filling out and everything because
Yeah.
I was so depleted at a certain point. But yeah, I'm keeping hit in. I keep the hit in actually. The intervals, I love it. It actually changed my mind on that, so I keep that in. I think it's really good for my heart too. Like I'm pushing my heart rate up to like, excuse me, 175, 180
Oh yeah.
at times. And I really think that's just helping with my recovery in the gym too, because well, I'll do drop sets of squats, drop sets of dead, like with like rack pulls or just like these taxing, these cardiovascularly demanding like exercises, and I'm
Mhm.
recovering within like 2 minutes. So, and with everything going on with bodybuilders passing away, like I want my heart to be as strong as possible. Especially as I begin
Yeah.
to put on more weight, which I plan on doing. Definitely this off season. I want to keep them in as long as possible.
Have you gotten one of those like plaque readings
Yeah,
that a
yeah,
bunch
I
of
get it
people
done
have been
this
getting?
week. I'll get it done this week too.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Okay, that's
I'm getting
awesome.
everything. Yeah,
This was a very hard year to be in the bodybuilding community and like have friends there.
very scary. Yeah,
Really, because like I mean like people have died from bodybuilding, mind you. It's not necessarily novel, but it's just the clustering of it and how many people who were very prominent and still active competitors who passed, it was really weird, man. Really weird year. To where, like, you know, when the Olympia came up and like everything happened with George, like I wasn't there this year, so I'm like texting my friends asking them how they're doing, man, because like it's fucking terrifying. Like, you know, you don't really think about it because everything looks so. Most bodybuilders are so like fastidious about their health, you know, in the absence of the supplements. You know, it's like everything about the supplementation comes down to like a very detailed monitoring of your overall health, you know, in a way that very few people will ever do. So you seem to think like, okay, they're being smart about it, but sometimes it doesn't matter how smart you think you're being or like how smart a coach says they're being. Like this person could be taking things to another level personally, you know. It's like you don't know, man. It's fucking scary. You know, the desire to win's really strong too, and it's easy to get conflated into like thinking that it's probably more of something that will get me there rather than, like, in your case, even less of something, right? Like some people really, like, it's hard to know what that. Everyone thinks like more gas is going to do it, I think, because it's a really common misconception, especially among like amateur ranks too, you know. Like the cycles you'll see people post from like, you know, in like bodybuilding forums, like even like 5-6 years ago, who are, you know, amateur level competitors trying to make it happen. It's like, it's terrifying, dude. Yeah. What people put in their bodies. And I don't know, man. It's good to see that, like, that's something that you're going to focus on in this coming year, because you're young, man. You've got a lot of bodybuilding to do. Like you're still like probably like 6 years away from your actual prime as a bodybuilder, you know. That's what's crazy. You're what, 29, right? 28, 29?
Yeah, I'm 29. I've been bodybuilding for about since I was like 24, but I got on when I was like 26.
So you haven't been training for? Did you start lifting weights before that as well?
Yeah. I played football, you know, like American football, like for like since I was from 14 to 22. I was playing football, so I was lifting weights. You know, I was doing the basics, the bench, the squats, the deadlifts. Not really a lot of isolated shin movements, of course, or any, you know, muscle group, any exercise that target like certain muscle groups, just like those type of exercises, and it seemed to build a good base for me. So I was able to, you know, when I started bodybuilding, I came in, you know, pretty strong, pretty ready to, you know, take on like the isolation movements a little bit more, but I think the thing that impacted me when I started bodybuilding was just like the consistency of dieting. Not, I want to say dieting, but like eating, because as a college student, I was eating like ramen noodles and you know, all that mess like that. And I was, you know, but I was still training like hard, you know, playing football. We're 6 a.m. workouts and in the gym, and we're sprinting. So, you know, my body had this, was used to like, you know, running, you know, on lower amounts of food, you know, probably eating twice a day. Or 3 times a day, and then eating 6 times a day in the right amount of portions for protein and carbs and fats. And so when I started training, my body just soaked it all up, and you know, I started, you know, I get that kind of like, I got like a newbie growth spurt, but like without being like a newbie to lifting, you know. So that was actually really cool to start seeing that when I started bodybuilding. So I've been training overall since I was 14.
That's fucking, you know, do you ever look back on your athletic career in like total dismay of just how much better it probably could have been if you knew about like proper nutrition and like fueling your body, like in sleep? Like I think all the time about just how fucking suboptimal my life was when I was a competitive athlete. I'm like,
I drank on the weekends like terribly,
just like binge drinking, like killing your liver, just an assault on it.
Yeah, and then like and then Monday I'm like, you know, I'm running like sprints on the football field and gassers and stuff, and it was like normal, right? It was like normal for me to do these things, and
just like prepare. You're like, this day is gonna be really bad, you know, as if like your body's recovering it all throughout that, you know. Like it's so weird, man. Like just how blasé it is. That's been the coolest. Have you found yourself getting like addicted to the control of bodybuilding? I think that this is something that not a lot of people talk about, but like the total control over yourself and your body that you like, it's like not breaking it, that I think is so compelling about it, you know. Like nothing gets in the way of me and what I'm doing. It's very selfish, but very empowering. It's weird.
Yeah, I think that's something that like really drew me to the sport, because like coming from a team sport, it's like, you know, if this person doesn't do their job, then it's kind of like, it's, and the whole team might lose or something like that. But you know, it's down. It's up to. It's plus it's 24/7, right? Like 365. Like when I play football again, it was like Monday through Friday we had practice, and then Wednesdays I'd fuck off, and I'd be like whatever. Like
Yeah.
I mean not Wednesdays. Like Saturdays I'd fuck off, or you mean Thursdays I might go to the bar, right? So it was like weird, you know. It was, and I was a college student, so I thought this was like normal. But as I got into bodybuilding, it definitely routinized my day, and I found that as like I was more structured with meals, I was more structured with like, you know, getting like my work done, more structured with my life. Because everything else, I was like, okay, every 2 hours I got to eat these meals, and then in between I have to fit these other tasks that I have to get done throughout the day. So everything just kind of started fitting together like a puzzle when I started bodybuilding, and I was able to really figure out how to structure, you know, my life in general. Because like in a sense, because it gave me that structure that I was kind of missing when I was in college, and I was just kind of, you know, going by the whim of, you know, like, okay, today is, you know, Monday through Friday I have practice and then and a game on Saturday, but then after that I'll just, you know, I'll drink and I don't have to eat anything, and you know, the things that were just terrible for my body, and now I really look at my body and bodybuilding as a way to, you know, not only make like myself better, but like my overall life better, from business and work. Everything that stemmed from bodybuilding right now, it's has all been positive within my life as far as giving me that control.
Yeah.
So how is your relationship to alcohol and partying now?
I don't go out at all.
Never?
No, not really. I mean, I don't even drink, dude. Like, because I got all that out of my system, right? I just like don't even think of it. I was just in an event this weekend, and we're out at dinner, and everyone's ordering mojitos, and I'm like, I'll just, you know, take a water with some lemon, because I just know what it does in my body. You know, like I know that like those days of waking up feeling like, ugh, and you can't eat. I'm like, my job is to eat. I need to wake up the next day and get these 6 meals in. I can't do that if my stomach's feeling sour. And I mean, like, but that's to each their own. But I know I like to have, you know, my body feeling a certain way. But you know, when the time calls for it, you know, I might go out to like a party or something like that. But I don't really get down with drinking or anything like that.
I think that it's one of those things, though, that like if I were, and I don't know, maybe you'll agree with this, but like if I'm like talking to someone who's like 18, I'm gonna tell them to like go drink on Thursday.
Yeah,
you know, like it's one of those things that even just by way of like communal participation, I think is important. Like beyond like, because for me, like I didn't drink in college because like I told you my dad was an alcoholic, and I don't want to be one, and I'd be very close if I did, because if I do anything that's even remotely dopaminergic, I like obsess over it. Like that's like all I care about for the next week. Like I started playing a game called Civilization 6 the other day, and I almost ruined my relationship in like 3 days. I was like, yeah, no, I'll come to bed. I just couldn't do it. You know, if it's fun, I don't know how to stop. So with drinking, it could be weird, right? But like even still, I learned that the best nights that I would have in college were nights where I would just like say I would have a drink, even if I didn't then go out to continue. Like if I had half the drink, people were just like, okay, yeah, he's having fun now. And so they felt looser around me. You know, it was like kind of like, you're just a part of something, and, you know, you don't have to get like shit hammered to have good times, but you know, sometimes it's fun to do. Like I got after for Hunter's first Olympia, we got more drunk than I've ever been in my life. And that's still one of my favorite nights, like ever,
right.
You know, just because it was a matter of like, I was a part of like a camp, and like we worked really hard to get somewhere, and like it was a cool thing to celebrate, you know? So there are times where you have to make room for it, but even still, now where I am, I will not, like, I know that like I feel so much better when I don't drink. Like you're saying, like my life, like my cognition is better, my body function is better, like I feel better, like I enjoy being out sober because I know how good I'm feeling by not fucking my liver, you know? Like I know I feel better, just in a general sense. So
yeah, you know, and it's like other, you know, you're in college, you engage in other things, right? So I've done them. I've A to Z, probably done it, right? I was in a fraternity, so it was like these things were readily available for me. It was like we had some shady characters in there, and they were like cool guys, but they definitely had access to a lot of stuff.
Bodybuilders love drugs. This is the one thing I've learned being a bodybuilder is that like they love everything that doesn't have calories. As long as it cannot make them fat, they will fucking do it. Like, that's like the one thing I've learned.
Pretty much true. And like, you know, but I think the thing is I got all that out of my system, you know, by the time I started bodybuilding. And I remember the last time I got really, really like, you know, out of my mind, like everything. It was probably 20. I remember today, it was New Year's 2016. My buddy was having a party. His dad owns a restaurant. And he like shut down the restaurant like for like all of us to party. And it was like, catered food, everything. And it was just drinks were free. And I just, it was probably like the day where like I was like I swear I was like hungover for like 2 days straight. And it was just like to the point where I was just like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. And it was like from that point that I started slowly getting away from drinking, getting away from like the parties, drugs, and things like that. And I really haven't, gotten back into that part of the world, the side of partying, anymore. But I still like to go out every now and then. I'm more of a like go out and have food kind of guy. Like I am like so food driven, like when it comes to like when I'm in the off season. So that's why I appreciated Patrick, because like it was very like clean and regimented. Because in the off season I would fuck off and I'd be like I'm off. I'm gonna eat wherever I want. So so now like I appreciate more going out with people. So while people may appreciate having a drink, I appreciate going out and having like a nice meal. And one thing with my girlfriend, when we first started dating, she was like, wow, like you don't mind spending this much on this meal? Like this is a crazy check. I'm like, I don't spend it anywhere else.
Yeah, this is my fun. Let me.
Yeah, this is my fun. This is my vice. It's like we went to Dubai, and we had like a great time, and we went to this cool steak restaurant, and it was like the bill was absurd, right? For like just two people, but the food was amazing and the service was great, and I was like, I don't do anything else in life. Like I don't, I might as well enjoy myself this way. So that's something that I kind of like have turned towards, is like having nice meals out. Like I don't really like the drinking and the party drugs anymore. So when I go out with my friends, I like to treat them all to a nice meal sometimes now. And or if I go out with my girlfriend, I'm like, okay, let's go to a nice place, or sometimes we'll just have a nice night in. That's good too. I like doing that too. Oh, yeah. It's changed more to like appreciating the the people around me and the experience.
So you know what, man? Like I think that it's interesting too, in that I think one of the biggest issues that bodybuilders tend to have is making time for relationships, and not just romantic, but like interpersonal, just with how rigid scheduling can be, and like how prohibitive dietary practices can be. Like some people are like, I would rather stay here than go out. Like, but finding those like really structured rests and kind of like binges of sorts, not like a true binge, mind you, but like, finding a time for allowance is really important for longevity of programming. Like even when I meet people who are trying to get into fitness, and like, if you don't have a deadline for like changing your physique, giving yourself like 1 day a week after a good month of adherence where you can like go out and have like, or one meal where you can go out and like with a partner and like do something together, that's like something I would recommend to just about anyone who isn't like about to be in a show. Finding time to like be in like more like standard social context, because it can be really alienating on a long enough time frame, and it's not like it can become maladaptive and like another way of like avoidance, or like it's like like I would channel like social anxiety into that and be like, well, I don't want to like go out, so I now have a reason to not go out. I have to get up early, train, something like that.
It's definitely become me as well, especially during prep. I was just like, before I even got exhausted, before you're like 4 weeks out and you're tired, I'm like, prep starts and I'm like, nah, I can't go. I can't. Nope.
Sorry, I'm prepping. I don't know what to tell you, man. I can't.
Yeah, it's kind of was. And I think that's just, you know how it is when you take things so seriously, and there's a lot of like, expectations, and you want to make sure you perform well. So you want to limit any possible, thing that might mess you up. So like this prep, since I've been working from home, I had this thing of like, I don't like to take my meals with me. Like I want to be home to eat them, because I was home for a year, working from home, 2 years almost. And so like, I'm so used to eating from home. And there was this thing, I don't know why, but I said, we got it. I was like, unless I really had to pack meals, I would always be back in time home for a meal. I was like, I'm like, we're out shopping. I'm like, nope, gotta go home. Like I gotta home. So like, that was something that I found myself was like very odd. I was like, I don't know why, but this time around, like in previous preps, I didn't mind packing meals. I take my 6-pack bag with me, cooler. I take meals with me. But this time around, I was like, I just wanted to be home to have my meals like freshly made, and it was just something that I got really used to. So yeah,
Once you
it
get
can
into
become.
the habit of eating.
One of the questions we got
Sorry,
from
you
the,
can-
I think you were lagging there, Wake. But
Oh, okay, it's
one
just
of the
me,
questions
good.
we got was about work, because someone asked if you could live of bodybuilding or if you had to have work on side, and obviously have a job. But what do you do?
Mhm.
What is?
Oh yeah, for work. I'm a communication coordinator for an Alzheimer's disease genetics lab. So I work on the back end of the website, and I also write articles for the website. I assist in the social media, and I also assist in the outreach for one of our studies dealing with Asian Americans, Asian Canadians. So I'll draft up some like flyers, or I'll get in contact with advertisement companies just to, help with recruitment and then also retention of our participants.
Okay, no, it's lagging again. Yeah, it's back.
Me?
I think it was. I'm not sure if it's on my end or where it is, but it was.
Yeah, I was
like,
getting some lag too. But I think you're fine.
I can change
Yeah, man,
region of the server. Give me a second. Might lag out. Maybe US East. How is it now?
All right.
I changed the server on
Yeah,
Discord.
Okay.
So is this work that you hope to transition out of potentially, or do you want to keep that that semblance of like normalcy and consistency in your life?
I want to keep it for as long as possible. At this point, right now, during prep, it was a little, it got a little overwhelming sometimes because, again, you're so driven on this one goal, and then everything else kind of seems like it's in the way. So if I had a
Yeah.
meeting, I'm like, meeting's annoying. I'm like, why do we have a meeting at 2 p.m. in the evening? Like, why in the afternoon? I mean, it's been like that
You
all year.
find the annoyance in everything. Like,
Yeah.
even if there's a function for it, you'll be like, well, I feel like we could have done this via an email. Like, it's one of those things that if you're looking for something, you're going to find it,
Mhm.
And especially by way of annoyances. Even if
So
something could be validated, you're like, well,
yeah.
I would like to be like, there's something between, it's something that has now impeded you and like your ambition. And like,
Mhm.
that's
Mhm.
that's
That's
really
definitely
challenging.
That's definitely how I felt. But coming out of prep, things are getting a little bit more normal. My brain's working again, like I'm functioning better. And I'm not as annoyed with like the little things of work. So I'll keep it for as long as possible. But if it comes to the point where bodybuilding is kind of starting to, replace that, you know, that monetary gains that I'm making from work, that financial aspect, which does play a part because hey, I got to feed myself. But yeah, I'll keep it for as long as I can because I like doing it. But if I find that I don't like it anymore, like not prep don't like it anymore. Like if I'm like in the middle of the off season and I find myself kind of dragging and dreading it, I'll definitely search for another means of work first before just like dropping everything and just be like, okay, bodybuilding. Because I feel like that also gives me my structure as well as when I have like something outside of bodybuilding to focus on. Um, it also it helps keep my mind a little bit fresh, my body fresh from being
Yeah.
burnt out on just bodybuilding. When I have a little something else to be like, okay, well, I'll just do this as well.
It's about like preventing that kind of like intellectual stagnance where like the only thing you're entertaining is bodybuilding. It can just be a very one-dimensional, and in turn it can kind of like atrophy your ability to communicate with people outside of a bodybuilding context. Like it can happen with anything, right? It's not just bodybuilding, but like
Yeah.
it could happen with, for example, like Twitch, like we speak in like borderline fucking hieroglyphics here. If I said like monkus to you, you wouldn't know what the fuck that means, but everyone in chat knows what I mean when I say monkus, Like it's weird because you can assimilate a dialogue and like a standard for discussion that just doesn't translate outward, and like that just is the risk of being like an obsessive person, and bodybuilding attracts obsessive people. Like there's no, I don't think you could be a bodybuilder if you don't have an obsessive bone in your body, you know?
I agree. I
And it's the
definitely
same
agree.
thing like Twitch, man. Twitch like rewards time commitment and time investment. That's why Knut is the best job in the world. Is that he streams his bodybuilding, so it's just double obsession nonstop. You know.
Maybe that would be something for you as well. Stream your whole life, be online not 24/7, but a lot of hours.
He would meld so well into the Twitch community. Maybe not Knut's because like you're a weeb like me, but otherwise, like you know, anyone like you know, if you like anime, this community does not seem to like anime. It's the only one I think on the internet that doesn't like anime. That might be one of like two. That's and John Zerka's, but otherwise, you know, yeah, you're made for it. You got your own nerdy bones, which is why I immediately was like, okay, you're gonna be tight. I'm gonna keep in touch with you because you know, most bodybuilders have it, but I remember you being like, all right, we can go like title for title on different animes, and I'm like, nice. You're giving me recommendations.
Wake, that was one of the questions. Wake, do you like anime? Was one of the questions from.
Yeah, I love it. And it's like it's been the part of my life since I was like a kid, right? And and again, it's just like something outside of bodybuilding, like. You know, I'll sit down and have a meal and I'll watch anime, and it's just like something like, okay, not like, I don't like trying to watch YouTube bodybuilding, like, okay, not bodybuilding. None of these like drama-ridden podcasts or you know, news shows on Instagram. I'm not Instagram, YouTube. I'll watch. You know, I'm like, what's the new anime show? What's the lineup for winter 2022? Like, you know, what's the new ones coming out? And it's just something that like, it's a passion of mine. And so I was and speaking of it, I was at the event for my new supplement sponsor, Project AD. And
you got a new supplement sponsor?
Yeah. I'm not with HD Muscle anymore. I'm with Project AD.
HD's hemorrhaged all of their athletes in the last like 6 months. I don't think they're making money anymore or something because like, they dropped everyone.
So they did their best to keep me, and you know, I really appreciate everyone there. But I just felt that it was time for just a change.
Yeah.
And so far, you know, within the week that I've been with Project AD, they've you know, mapped out a great timeline for, you know, not only me working with the brand, but the brand, you know, working to build me up as a brand of my own, which they saw at the event we had at the storefront. There's a nutrition store in Tampa. Kid came up, reminded me of myself. He was like, if anyone believes it, I used to be a little bit on the leaner side, a little bit skinnier when I was around like 12, 13. And before I started lifting, and this kid came up and he's wearing like a Naruto shirt, and I was like, "Oh man, that's awesome, man! What's your favorite anime? Like, give me your top 5." And he like rambles them off, and I'm like, "Here's my top 5." And I ramble mine off, and we're like, "No, this one's better. This one's better." And I'm like, "Have you seen this? Have you seen that?" And so the sales manager was like, "Wow, man, that's really cool. Like, you know what? Like, we could have like, would you like to have your own T-shirt come out like that's like based around that? Like, that's really dope." And I was like, "Man, I would love to have my own T-shirt based around anime." Like, you know, so it's always been a great passion of mine. And
there are two things there that I think are really important, and one is that you maintain a receptivity to like novel ideas, right? And like kind of like niche interests and things that like just make you a complete person, you know, like a more well-rounded, like worldly individual. I feel like, especially with things like bodybuilding, if you only like sit there and just saturate, it's the same thing with Twitch, man. Like we have our own like parasitic news concept here too, where people will give breakdowns on what's been happening in there. It's a massive part of the Twitch community is like live stream fails is a subreddit where people just react to like drama in the community. And it's just this weird, like self cannibalizing kind of thing. Where people are constantly trying to make content about each other. It's very weird, you know, but it's the same thing with bodybuilding where you have all of these like talking head pundits who just like subsist on creating conflict where it doesn't exist, you know, like bodybuilding is a relatively like, it's not like a fucking competition really, you know, it's a pageant in a way. And there is competition elements to it, but like, it's not like you're beating someone on stage outside of like, you're not like fighting them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The level of competition there is like, I don't know, man, bring your best look. I don't know what to tell you. Like, we're not going to fight on stage. Right. But the other thing too, is like, that's like the good thing about you, I think, and what makes someone a really great ambassador for something as alienating as bodybuilding, because you don't look at a bodybuilder and be like normal person. Like most people don't feel that way, you know? So having like a breadth of interest that you can communicate to people, I think is good, not only for the sport, but also for your personal brand. Yeah. And then beyond that, dude, anime and bodybuilding, really synonymous in a lot of ways. Like it's a good shonen anime, like the traditional, like, and this might be something that you might have missed, but like Dragon Ball Z was really formative for a lot of youth in America growing up because it was always on like like standard like children's cartoon channels. And it's all built on like training and like working hard, being diligent, and like upholding really like sincere virtues. It's all rooted in this sort of like moralistic framework of like doing what's right and working hard. And a lot of bodybuilders I've met have been into anime, if in some capacity, unless they're just like, there's some outliers who are just like jocks, you know. But a lot of people, like, they're like kind of wounded dudes who like started skinny, wanted to change something, you know, had niche interests, like found their way into the weight room, found out they could grow muscle easily. Like, it's this whole like, it's this interesting tapestry of humanity, man.
To be honest, I've never seen one single episode of any anime show. Never.
Oh, dude.
I don't think I've heard about it before Twitch either. I don't know
what would you prescribe to him, Carlos, if you were to convert Knut as you know him right now and do it into a weeb? What would it be? You got one shot.
Newest ones or like older ones?
No, you got one shot. You got it. It doesn't matter. It's one shot that you're like, he's gonna be like, damn, this is good.
I guess like my personal point, like I watched and like I resonated with when I was a kid was before it was even before Dragon Ball Z. I caught this on like late night with Toonami. It was like Yu Yu Hakusho, and I don't know, like I just thought that was just like a badass show. And it was like this, you know, this kid, and he like, it's a spirit detective, and it's like fighting, and you know, it's got a little mystical element to it. I thought that was badass. So I would say that. But if you really want like a standard one that's pretty good, and you can kind of get into another one of my ones, I would just say is Hunter x Hunter. That's like a really good one. That's like
Hunter x fucking elite. Yeah.
Wasn't that a show that someone just watched on Twitch? Hunter x Hunter.
I think XQC's been watching it.
I've heard the name.
That Knut, or just watch Vinland Saga, which is literally about
actually, like, that was actually a really good one for you.
Like, it's one of the best shonens I've ever seen. It's really good.
I forgot about that one.
It's funny seeing how they choose to like draw white people is one thing I've always found really like interesting, in the ways that it's a really interesting like perspective on it that I've always seen. Like it's someone from another country giving their like perspective on a culture in a way that's like really honoring it. I thought it was cool as hell. One of my favorite animes I've seen.
Yeah, that's actually good. That's the most recent one I've watched, because I just caught on to it, and I've probably watched it that's past like summer, but it was good. It was really good.
Really good. The next season's coming out soon too.
I would have to watch it in secret, because I will lose all my following if I say that I watched it.
You could just tell us if you liked it. You know, you don't have to tell any of them. But also, your chat would like it too. You've got a crazy Norwegian audience. They should all watch Vinland Saga and just see what they think. I want to know what they think as Scandinavian people of how it is like Viking like history is portrayed, because it's cool, but it's definitely niche, you know.
Yeah. Maybe we have to go try.
I actually watched a really good. I think I pronounced it wrong, but it was a Chinese name. It was like it's like a I think it's a Donghu, but it's really good, like Chinese anime. I'll send it to you, but it's really good. It's got some. It's bit action, bit slice of life, but it's funny. Good.
Yeah, that's it's funny, like the slice of life comedy stuff. I have a hard time recommending to people, because I feel like you have to like anime a little bit to like find the translation of humor and the way that things are depicted, because it's very unique to the medium, I think. But it's still like, you know, you eventually, once you grow to like it, you'll find your way to it, you know. This actually puts me to a kind of an interesting point, just because we were talking about it briefly beforehand, but like, what's your experience in navigating, I think we talked about like maybe the first time we interviewed, but like relationships in bodybuilding, and just how like oil and water they seem to be for the majority of people in my life. You're someone who's been in a relationship the whole time I've known you, man. Like, how do you navigate that? Like romantic relationships here.
Yeah, it's it can be difficult, right? And I'm saying this coming out of a prep where my girlfriend lived with me for 3 months, right? And she had never been around me when I prepped. And
have you guys ever been around each other for that long before, ever? I thought you guys were pretty much always distance.
Yeah, we were distance for so she she came over and she spent 3 months with me when I was during this prep. And I was like, don't come over during this time. Don't come over during this time. Because I not that I get like I'm like an angry prepper, you know, like when you're hangry. I'm just very quiet, and I'm like I'm more, you know, I tend to go within more, go within myself more, and I'm less intimate. You know, that's the opposite of her. She's very warm, very spiritual, intimate, and I am
What do you mean when
too.
you say spiritual?
So she's more like she talks to me like she's like, oh, this person just has great energy, right? Like she just comes to me like, man, like that, like she met like this person in the gym when she was here. It's a blind guy who comes to the gym still, like and trains heavy too. And his name is Glenn, and I've known him for years. So he comes in and he's always holding on this guy's shoulder because he can't see, so he gets walked around the gym. And he's like, but I introduced Glenn to her to Glenn, and she's like, well, Glenn has this warm energy. Can you feel it? And I'm like, yeah, he's a nice guy. He's like, no. She's like, no, like this energy. And I'm like, I don't really know what you mean, but he's a nice guy. So
I think you're describing kindness, but yeah, you know.
yeah. But she just like has this sense, right, for people, and I believe her because I've seen the way she interacts with people, and it's just she just has this like this great aura about her, right, where people just gravitate to her, and so she was over in prepping with me, and she had to get used to like, oh wow, like he doesn't want to talk right now. And my parents were telling me, oh, it's okay, like this is normal.
Yeah.
Like I think I'm lagging a little bit, but I hope you guys can hear me.
I can hear you.
But she would say like, this is like, my parents would let her know like, hey, this is normal. Yeah, my parents would be like, hey, like, no, it's okay, this is normal. You know, he's just within himself when he's prepping, you know, and so that was like probably one of the hardest parts to kind of navigate, and the misunderstandings, right, where she's like where I'm so focused that like I do something I don't think, right? I'm like,
or you
like,
miss things that are like blatantly obvious, you know,
right,
like things
yeah.
that like you should have recognized that don't.
Yeah, like I took like the last Stairmaster, and she's like, well, I wanted to get on the Stairmaster too, and you know, you didn't have to use it. I didn't have to use it, but I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm sorry. I didn't know that you wanted the Stairmaster, right? But she's like, you know, I always do stairs. I'm like, right, but like it just didn't register. So like these things when you're prepping just don't register. It just flies over your head, and you're like, I don't get what the problem is. Yeah. But you know, now that I'm outside of prep, and I'm like, you know, I see like I call them like the prep glasses are off. Like I see like, oh wow, that was like kind of like not rude, but that was like a little insensitive. Like I don't know why I did that. So like there was just this navigation of like my aloofness when prepping, you know, and she wants to be like more like, hey, like come to me, like, you know, when you want to talk or you're not shut in. But I'm like, well, prep, I'm the opposite of that. I'm just like, I don't want to talk. I want to just sit here, eat my meal, and have, you know, whatever I have on in the background, watch my anime. Like,
yeah, man.
And don't talk to me, like just quiet.
I think my girlfriend would say it doesn't get better by the years.
Right? Okay. We get better.
It won't get better.
I told her we get better, but no, she could be, but she actually started understanding more like, oh, this is just how he is during this time.
Yeah, and knowing that it's not indicative of like her having done something wrong or you being upset, but it's like, no, man, I just like, I had like a quarter of a sweet potato today, and it's like 11 p.m. Like I don't want to talk.
But like it was like 2 weeks out, right? And I'm like, this is like very like, you know, getting very intimate, but like whatever. I just can't, like I can't go because I'm tired.
Oh yeah, dude.
I'm tired. I'm like 2-3 weeks out. I'm so tired. I'm like, no, like if it's nighttime, like I can't do it. Like you got to catch me in the morning before cardio.
When my stimulants are hitting all at once, but I've already pooped. You know, like it's like a good period where like I've got like a 25-minute window where you can make a move.
Yeah, so
that's all you got.
And it was literally like that. I'm like, oh, it's go time. Like you ready? I'm ready. Like this has to happen now, or it won't happen at all today. So
I popped the sildenafil. I'm ready. I can do this right now, and that's it.
So she understood like that, like whole like thing, because she was like, well, you know, because she kind of knows about the, you know, the stuff we're on, and she's like, well, you're on like, you know, these stuff, these exogenous hormones, right? I'm like, that works to a certain extent, like, yeah. But when you're eating like this much calories, like this much rice, like you're like
overrides everything, dude. It's not
everything. Like you're like, you know, I mean, your body is just like dopamine. It doesn't have no response. Like you're just a blank canvas you know?
Dude, I was like chaste when I was modeling. Like I was a fucking monk. I couldn't even be tempted with the concept of sex. It didn't even register with me as like something humans wanted anymore. I was like, you know, I want to eat like half a jar of peanut butter. Like that's what like that was infinitely more erotic to me than any human being on the planet could have been for like 3 months of my life. You know, it's like when you're truly dieted down and like miserable in a metabolic context. It's like, that's one thing that like it's got to be fascinating because I've never had to deal with that being like someone who's never really like played with exogenous hormones, someone's like expectation of that being like applied to me and me being like, I'm not a fucking machine, you know, like
Right.
that's got to be awful.
You know, she caught me like when she had caught me in the off season when we were in Dubai, and we were there for like 10 days, and that was like 10 days of like, let's get it, like every day. It's like three times. I was ready because you know I'm eating food, you know my body, I'm good. I'm feeling great, and then she expects me to be like, you know, you're like prepping to be like the same thing, and I'm like, I was eating this much food, now I'm eating like this much food, like it's no, I just don't have the. And then you know, on top of the training and the cardio and everything else, you're just like, my mind was when I wake up, my mind's like, okay, get dressed, time for cardio. So that was something we had to navigate through, and she actually came to like understand it, and we actually made like little things to work around it, like the timing of things, and so like and you know sometimes you just gotta talk about it, right? You know, like you know, and we talked about this before on one of your podcasts where we was just like you know you have to actually have those conversations.
Yeah, man.
And yeah, so we actually had we had to have that conversation, or she would just be thinking like something's wrong with her. I'm like, no, I'm just fucking tired.
People don't know like how to be like it's one of those things where people have been like historically. I think that like we have at least like culturally, I think in America, there's like a history of like withholding or manipulating concepts surrounding sex in the context of a relationship to like take or like perceive power. So like I think that a lot of people have been trained to think that in the absence of sexual interest, that's inherently indicative of like I now lack power in this relationship. This person isn't interested in me and they're going to leave me kind of thing, you know? And there's a lot of anxiety that can surround that when like the reality of it is, especially when you start talking about manipulating your body to the degree that like bodybuilders will, is that like it only has anything. Like it has to do with anything but that, you know? It's not about me not being interested in the person.
Yeah.
Like, in having those discussions could be like fucking grating, you know? Like really challenging because like we've been I think like also like there's a very like especially and this might be uniquely American Knut, I don't know to what degree this is, but like sex isn't something that like you're like given a real like vernacular or like language to speak about in transparent context, you know? It's kind of one of those things that like I remember my first girlfriend who I was like sexually active with, like I remember me like wanting to talk to her about like what we were doing, you know, and like how we could make it better, and her being like, I don't think that sex should be that way. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, I just think you should do it and not talk about it. And I remember being like, that's like a very common sentiment that I've encountered in my life, especially like when I was like, what, how do you ever expect to be having anything good ever if you aren't in some way, shape, or form considering what it is you're doing? It's just like that's like a recipe for, or that, I mean, to anything now, when I look back on it, that's just this person and how they were aligned. But I remember in that moment being like, this is not going to last.
Like, I've been in a relationship for too long to even remember those problems that you can't talk about it.
It's strange, right? The idea of it. I don't. Is that like something that you encounter in like a Norwegian culture? Is there still like a lot of? Is there like shame surrounding sex or like a hush hush nature?
No, I don't think it is. Not at all. People are usually really open about it.
Okay.
I dated one Norwegian woman when I was in high school, and I like didn't know how to handle how forward she was when I was like 16, and I had never experienced that in my life. And she was like 18 years old, but was like in like the sophomore class. She was an exchange student, and she was just like she just fucking chain smoked cigarettes, and I thought that was cool because I was 16. I was like, all right, she's like an adult, you know, and her just being very like. So if we can have the sex, I don't know what you. I'm like, I don't know whether we can even talk about having sex. So this is like a thing I didn't know people talked about openly. I thought it just happened when you had too much to drink. Like I didn't know you could like plan to have like fun sex with someone.
And it's right, and it's like it was like I don't know what it is, but it was like okay. I was like, hey, like you know, let's you know, she like at the time she wanted like this like the you know the. What you say? Not. I want to multiple words, but the she didn't want it to be like planned, right? Like when I'm like, okay, like in the morning I'm good. Like let's go morning. Like, you know, she wanted like this, like you know, it was like this like
Spontaneous,
Spontaneous.
yeah,
passion.
spontaneous type of thing. Like I'm like what? Like it can't be spontaneous. Like well, like, I just finished training legs and I'm exhausted. Like nothing's happening
Yeah.
after that except
Yeah.
for me eating.
And sleeping.
And it's not pussy, dude. I'm eating chicken and rice immediately after that.
Yeah, so it was like we had to have these conversations, you know, around it. And I gotta say, like that's the first time I actually had, not the first time, but I really had like an in-depth conversation, you know, with my partner about, you know, bodybuilding, how it affects me personally, the
Yeah.
things I take, you know, how they affect my body, you know, and what they do. And I had to really give her an in-depth explanation of it because she doesn't know anything about it. So, you know, I had to break down that down to her, not for me because I'm cool. Like I would have been like, whatever.
Yeah.
But for her, because you know, she would have been wondering, is it me? Is it this and that? So you know, to have that conversation and take it that far was the first time I've done that before. You know, with a partner that I've been because the other women that like I've never like been on prep and like had like dated like, had a woman around me, especially like towards the like the last like 2 3 weeks. It would be like just focus. Um, so this was like the actual first time. So it was new for me, it was new for her, and you know we were able to navigate these waters together. And but she agrees that when I'm not prepping, I'm a lot better.
Yeah, go figure. You know, when you aren't starving your body and manipulating your hormones,
Right.
you're happier and you're healthier.
Yeah.
It's
For
just
me,
like
it was the pressure of like this year, right? I was like a
yeah,
lot of expectations.
a lot. I was gonna ask you about that, man, because like you've got like a Keon kind of aura where people see you and they're like, you're gonna be enormously successful. And then like I remember talking with Keon a lot about that, and like there was the burden of being told that he like had to be like 212 Mr. Olympia before he'd ever even gotten to 212 pounds in weight was like enormous on that dude.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine the same could be said for you, man. I mean, like you hadn't really competed in years, you know, and everyone was like, he's gonna shred. This dude's Olympia ready. What's he doing, you know?
Right. And anything less than like the overall would have been like, man, he was okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, so that was also something I dealt with that we had to deal with during the relationship is, you know, I also suffer from a lot of anxiety, you know, and you know, like I do the things I can with it. You know, I try to, you know, make sure I go to talk therapy and, you know, I do all like online right now. So it really helps. So anyone out there, like, you know, don't be afraid. Go ahead and do that. I find that it helps me personally. And so she had to navigate like, you know, these feelings I was having, like that would come out of nowhere, you know, where it was just like this enormous pressure. And I, you know, to be full transparency, like I would just be like, I'd shut down. I'd be like, I don't want to talk about anything. I don't want to talk. I just want to be like within myself. And because it was just a lot going on. And yeah, and in conjunction with at times during the prep, I didn't like how I looked.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this stress of like, I don't like how I look. People are expecting this out of me, and I don't know if it's going to happen, and this and that. And it was just a lot going on where, you know, it wasn't really, it wasn't really like anything that like she could do to help me at the time. It was something I had to work through myself. And but she did the best she could. So yeah, that was a lot going on with the pressure of the show. And it was just because like you said, Keon was expected to be like the next 212 Mr. Olympia, and you know, I was expected to win, you know, come out, you know, win the overall and be like the next Nick Walker, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
you have much better lines than Nick Walker, but yeah, you know, whatever. I hear you.
right,
Cool dude. You got better shape. Not even close.
Yeah, oh yeah, he was cool. Met him at the well, I met him before, but we really got to talk a lot at the event we were at. Oh, sorry about that. Apologies. So yeah, it was a lot. It was, you know, and it's the first time I ever dealt with that because before in bodybuilding, I was always like no one really knew me. I was kind of like, you know, not the underdog, but I was just like no one just knew me. So I was able to.
You had like 6,000 followers when I met you on
Yeah.
Instagram. Like no one. I remember the first time Luke sent a photo of you like doing like a most muscular to us. Was being like, what the fuck is going on with that dude's
Yeah.
biceps? Like what the fuck are those? What? Like I remember being like, is that oil? Like why are they so big? What the fuck? What
Yeah.
are those things? You know, like you just have like a weirdly like intangibly full like muscular like muscle quality, you know, that not a lot of people have. And like yeah, it's definitely like striking, but again, it's like that's not all it takes, you know. Like Keon might have some of the best structure of any person like ever, you know, like just skeletally.
Crazy.
And like, you know, the stress of having to deliver on that makes it so that he doesn't ever bring his best look, you know, or he hasn't yet, you know. And there's no doubt in my mind that it has something to do with that, you know. Because you know, how can you continue to be lauded as like his nickname is the Prodigy? How could you continue to be lauded as that and not feel afraid of not measuring up? You know, it's like you'd have to just be so insufferably cocksure, you know, just of like being like, yeah, I'm the fucking one, you know. And like anyone who's like that, I probably wouldn't have connected well with anyway.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just not. I've only known like 2 people to be like that, and they're great bodybuilders, you know. But at the same time, it's just the weird quality. Like, Knut, do you feel that way ever? Or are you just like very sure of yourself?
Like, of course, when you're dieting for a show, you always think, is this good enough? Are you ahead of schedule? Are you behind? But like after this many years, I started competing when I was 20 the first time, and now that I'm 35, like this diet, when I had Patrick as a coach, he gave feedback. Like I wasn't nervous at all. Like
Yeah.
all of that was just gone. It was more like, okay, what he is telling me is probably he's honest. You know how honest he can be. Patrick can be. He's not putting in anything extra words just to be nice or anything. He's just straight out saying it like it is. And that figured
what you fucking need, man.
Yeah,
I
that
couldn't
was
imagine
perfect
not
for me, because then he like once during my prep, it was, I think, what was he said, have you been following the diet? Like he just asked that question, nothing more. When I sent him one of the like a round of posing, and I'm like, yes, I have fucking followed your diet. I haven't cheated at all. Nothing. And they're like, okay. And then next time he's like, okay, I believe you. The next time we saw it, so that no, I wasn't nervous.
Yeah,
I feel like it's like that's gone.
It's funny how like I think in a lot of ways too, maybe just the more you compete as well, the more you know that like you've done the work and like this is the stage package. And you know, I can imagine for Carlos, like, you know, not gonna speak for you, but I imagine the anticipation is a massive factor there, and that like you gained a lot of steam outside of competing. And so then when the time came, it's like it's not like you won a show and then got a bunch of like recognition for what you brought to stage. It's like people were operating on the promise of what you could bring to stage, you know.
Yeah.
And,
And it was too, you know, it was like, you know, and it was like now or never, you know, and I put that narrative in my head, like, okay, it's now or never.
Yeah.
Like it has to be the one. Like if it doesn't happen now, then it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Or if it doesn't happen now, then it's just you know, it's a meh, okay, well, meh, whatever.
Yeah.
well, that's the difference between me and him as well. People wasn't anticipating anything of me.
The thing too, though, Knut, is that like anyone who's anticipating anything of you is going to be amazed regardless of what happens. Like Twitch is always going to be astounded at what you do, because you are bar none, far and away, the best. Like, I mean, of any visible content creator, you're the only like you've got the best bodybuilder physique. You know, like
Probably on Twitch, yeah, probably.
Yeah. So it's like anyone here, like, you know, the people who are expecting things are just always like fucking amazed, you know? The scrutiny is so different.
But you have to put some expectation on yourself. Like if I was coming in bad condition, I wouldn't have competed. Like if I was really bad, 1 week up, I would have said, like, fuck it, I haven't done the job.
Well, that's like an enormous amount of self-awareness to have too, and like it's not what you want to. I pulled out of a show that I was going to do, just realizing like, nope, I'm gonna need to do drugs. Like I'll need to do drugs if I want to be a bodybuilder. You know, I just realized like I'm going to be I'm too fucking tall and long for me to step on stage and feel like that's going to be a decent package if I'm like, you know, not bigger than I am presently. You know.
Do you think you ever will compete?
Me?
Yeah.
Look, man, I think that if I do, it'll probably be in another year or two. I kind of want to ride out the the vain stuff in my life, the having the long hair and like the kind of youthful face before I add anything like that. But yeah, in the event that like I get to like, it depends, man. Probably like 29, 30 or something like that. I'm 20. I just turned 27. I think another couple of years. I want to build naturally another year and just see what I can put on. And
would you consider
it's still not
like
there.
a natural organization first? Like
I don't want to. Like
right.
I don't. It's just
Some
not
guys
the
come in
same.
and peeled. Like those UK natural guys come in nasty peeled.
The real thing for me, dude, is like it's all predicated on like a polygraph test, and like I would rather go into a show thinking everyone's on steroids than assuming everyone played fair. You know, like I feel like personally, I'd be like, well, I don't fucking buy it. Like maybe just like there's something in my head that like would want. There'd be too much copium. You don't know what copium is yet, but there'd be too much copium on my part if I lost. And frankly, it's also just like the quality of like stage package I'd want to bring. It's just I don't know, man. Like I've been in this industry for a couple of years now. Like I wouldn't want to do that and like go be in like the WMBF or something like that and just like I don't know.
And your
Like,
hairline, you have to cut off your hair. Look at me and Carlos. You can't have long hair.
Yeah, no, I would do it in a heartbeat. I'm actually very ready to cut my hair, dude. Like that's been something I've been like almost looking forward to. Only reason I don't is because I'm still like theoretically like I have an open contract with my modeling agency to like not fuck with my appearance.
Dude, when I say keep it and rock it on fucking stage, bro.
Dude, it's so annoying. And also, like, trust me, if I started running something and I was watching, like, do you know what it's like to have hair like this come out of your head? Do you know, it's like fucking imagine like witnessing some hair shed on your part. That's like not like those are small hairs, dude. This is like down to my fucking belly button, dude. Like it's long, you know. You start pulling hairs out, you're like, this shit just goes everywhere. It's awful. I could not experience any hair shed with this amount of hair. It would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Like logistically for everyone.
I don't even know if I'll lose my hair. I think it's gonna stay forever.
No, you've got
a nice
good
hairline.
enough genetics. I mean, like it really is so hit or miss. It's like the same thing with some people. Then like really, again, because it has nothing to do with like the actual like drugs. It has everything to do with your hair follicles. It's not like steroids cause hair loss. It's that like if you have hair follicles that are sensitive to DHT and you raise DHT and it concentrates in your scalp, you'll lose those hairs that are sensitive to it. But some people don't have that at all. Just how fucking genetics work for people. And I'm not willing to roll the dice and find out. I'm not willing to try and be like, oh fuck, I was wrong. This sucks. I don't know what I'm doing, man. Fuck me. You know, like I don't know yet. I haven't had enough hair fallout to where I know for sure if it's gonna happen to me.
Hair transplant.
Yeah, fucking. Then I gotta book my flight to Turkey and shit. You know, I don't know. Don't get me wrong, they work, but I feel like right now my best business strategy is just to maintain my look as it is, you know, and like build this. I like the fact that I can tell people what I do like in a natural context and not feel, you know. Yeah. Some people like that. I always tell people to not fucking listen to anyone who's trying to sell you a program on the basis of them being natural, because that's like, it's not different. It's not like the training is no different. The dieting's, it's just volume. It's just how much training you can handle and how much food you need. That's the only thing that shifts between being natural or enhanced, as far as I'm concerned, outside of like blood work.
Well, that's true.
And other things.
That is correct.
Like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what you guys would say. I mean, I'm speaking as the fucking.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
String down here.
I think honestly, like, yeah, my best growth spurt came when I focused on my training got better, my eating got better. So, and that was when I was running gear. So, I mean, the only thing that changed was training and nutrition, and I grew my most this past off season.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things where like everyone. The funniest thing to me is if you go on any bodybuilding forum and you look at like people talk about what they think pros are running, and like me, who's like helped my friends fucking pen and knowing in my head like exactly how much these people have taken, it's like it's mind-boggling to me like just how inflationary it gets. Like people really think that everything about bodybuilding comes down to dosages and supplements, and it's like
the thing is there's always some who has been up to those crazy amounts, and then on the forum it's like, oh, everyone's doing this.
You have one person who corroborates their suspicion. I mean, like, you know, we had that happen with a lot of people, and you know, it's interesting knowing that like there's also just a point of like saturation, I think, where you're not getting any benefit out of adding more, you know, like it's now just becoming like liver toxic and it's hurting your body, you know? So like people will always be like, again, I don't necessarily think that bodybuilding on the whole, like no real activity necessarily, there's no one specific activity in the world that, except maybe like, fuck it, whatever. Not always the smartest people are bodybuilding, you know, and it's very easy to be like, you know what, like more is more and more is more. Go watch old training videos of like, you know, just like nothing but sheer intensity volume, like Johnny Branch stuff. And it's like, you know, you probably could have milked a few more years out of your career if you didn't train like that, you know, but they did, and they were successful with it. So then people will see that and be like, that best way, me do that, you know, Ooga Booga trained that hard, and then they tear their bicep because they are not built like Branch Warren is. And, you know, wonder what happens. Like some people can just handle that shit, you know.
But it isn't only the bodybuilders that aren't that smart. It's a lot of the fitness influencers on YouTube actually probably are the guys who share more of what they're doing. Even worse.
I've seen some videos where I'm just like, yeah, you can say it, but should you? Like, no. Like,
and this is also the issue though too with people who like fitness influencers in general. You have to remember that like their job is to create new content and to have a new thing to be like, this is what will work, this is a new video to click on, right? It's not like that's why, again, I will continue to applaud the Knut model here of being like, this is my life every day, watch me do the same shit, you know, like watch me do this, chat with me, hang out, but like I'm not going to sit here and pretend that today I did glute kickbacks into like a front flip, you know, and that's the new way to build your glutes, you know. It's like, because everyone needs a new fucking thing to sell you, you know, even if it's it doesn't matter if it's a fucking fit tea or like a new bullshit pre-workout and be like, this one ingredient will change your workout. No, it won't, you know, it won't. The best thing you could ever do is stick to the same fucking exercises and progress them, you know. And when you're ready to try new exercises and after a few like meaningful, you know, like mesocycles or like, you know, 6 months, 12 months, something like that. Like I probably changed my exercises out. Like how often do you change exercises? Fuck it. You're a fucking awesome pro bodybuilder. Why am I talking about me? Well, how often do you change your exercises?
Me?
Yeah, you do.
Not often. Maybe like, honestly, like, it'd probably be like 8 weeks, beyond 12 weeks. So like, you know what I mean? Like, and if it's the exercise, it's basically the same movement. You know, like it's basically the same movement. Like if it's bent over rows, I'm like, I'm not really feeling bent over rows. Maybe I'll just do like a cable a cable like type of row, underhand row. If I'm doing underhand rows with barbell and like I'm not connecting well with them, I'll just do like a chest supported underhand like row or something like that. Or, you know, it'll be like the same movement patterns, right? Yeah. So like the exercise may change, but the movement, you know, the movement doesn't really change, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, totally.
Be the same. So, and it's all how I connect with them with the exercise. If I connect well with them, I'll keep running the motherfuckers into the ground.
Yeah.
Or
you know?
have to add in when you're getting into your 30s, you have to change up so it doesn't hurt. Exercises that hurts.
I'm gonna squat until I die. Like back squats, I connect so well with them. People like, you know, people like, oh, this machine, that machine, but like back squats, stay in my program. They'll stay up until a week out, until my last leg day for me, because I just connect so well with them. And again, it's not like
if you've got the ankle mobility, dude, fucking do it. You know, like if you can get good fucking heel over or fucking knee over toe flexion, like there's no reason to take him out.
Yeah, I could do, you know, other things, but you know, if I connect so well with this movement and it isn't hurting me, and you know, I enjoy doing it, do it. You know, that's just like people love deadlifts. People love doing deadlifts, but you know, deadlifts, for me, sometimes like I really like, I'm not really too much of a big fan, so I do like rack pulls, and I like rack pulls. They really work for me. Or like people might like bend over rows. I don't really connect with them, so I really connect well with like, you know, like some type of like cable row. Yeah,
I love cables I love cable training and machine training because typically, like, if you find a machine that works well with your anatomy, that's a very safe thing to like push to like mechanical failure as well. Like, it's good. You can really overload those movements without much risk and without spotters, you know, and especially for things like, dude, like I used to do preacher curls with like standard like barbells or dumbbells, and like one of the things that I think like I started seeing actual growth with was when I started doing more with cables and realizing that I was able to keep like, again, like when it comes to just using a dumbbell, you're like fighting gravity, right? It's just gravity. So then when you start getting to like the upper range of your movement, you're taking a lot of tension off the muscle. Whereas like if you're going with a cable, you're fighting against the the tension of the cable, fighting against the gravity of the weight stack. You know, like to me, it feels more intuitive.
Yeah, I can't tell you when the last time I've done like a regular bench press, like a flat bench press or an incline bench press. Like it's always for the past year, it's been like an incline hammer, strength, or a dumbbell incline bench press. And not saying like I couldn't do this move. It's just like for those moves, I'd get super strong on like the incline bench press, and it just become like a risk, of injury. Because I've done I've done 4 plates like for 12 reps, done 4 1/4, and at that point it's just like, nah, I'd rather do the hammer strength, and be able to really squeeze and engage the muscle, and instead of just like moving weight, or do like or I'll do we have like the Prime fitness one here, and I like that one a lot.
The Prime is so good.
Yeah,
that's one of the best incline presses on the planet.
Yeah.
I'll add in a question there since we're talking about the topic. Do you have a must-do exercise? If so, why, and how often do you do them?
Oh yeah. For me, it's I love I said like back squats. Always do them. I just feel like for my anatomy, they just work. They really work. I don't really have a long femur. I have that ankle mobility to do them, and a lot of people will say like, I tend to like feel them, I tend to feel them in like my glutes or something like that. But for the way that I work, like I feel in my quads. Doesn't matter if I go close, wide, middle foot stance. Like squats just really work well for me. I engage very well with them. But for somebody who's like taller, like like Wake is probably like, no, it's probably not a good move.
It sucks. I'm really strong at squats. I just like it's all glute for me. Like I contract heavily in my glutes when I squat, and I'm really good at doing them, but it does not make my quads bigger. Like if I want to grow my quads, I have to do safety squats, or I have to do fucking hacks, where I can really like safely modify how it is I'm aligning my feet and like really getting good like heel over or knee over toe flexion.
Yeah. So for me, like my glutes would kick in maybe like on the last 2 to 3 reps where I'm hitting failure. Where my quads are burnt out, and like none of my glutes are working to help me get up. So I like those, and then I love incline dumbbell curls, and I've done this, and I haven't changed this. Like for my arm workout, I've done preacher curl machine. I'll change up the rep scheme and the intensifiers, but I've done preacher curl machine, and then I'll superset incline dumbbell curls with a hammer with hammer curls and some type of variation of and some type of like I'll do drop sets with them. I'll do slow eccentrics, pauses at the top or whatever. So
yeah, you might have the nuttiest arms already in the IFBB. Like your arms are insane.
But those are literally the 3 bicep exercises I do, and I never change them. But don't take that from me, because like I was probably born with arms, to be honest. Like so that's
some
like
people just have that shit.
Yeah, that's one thing. Like if you have someone who's like kind of gifted with a body part, kind of probably not the good idea to ask them how they got that body part.
You find the person who had the shitty body part and built it, probably going to be. Yeah. But even still, it's like, I don't know. I think that at the end of the day, what people are learning is that like the best way to really go about it is to find what you connect with personally, and that like you can't really take any one person's advice, and that like their anatomy is designed entirely different from yours in all likelihood. Like even Kyle and I, we're like the same height, man. What we would connect with by way of movement, super different. Like whenever we train together, we would always have arguments about which one to do, because I would say like, I can't connect there doing that. You connect well doing that. I don't know what the fucking, almost the exact same wingspan. It's like, it should work, but different lever points, all the same, whether or not it's like, I've got a longer, like radius or something, or radio, what is it called? Ulna, and what is it? Is it a radius and an ulna? Fuck if I know. Regardless, like there's, where it is I'm connecting with this and how is going to change, from who you, even if people look similar. That's why anyone, again, who's telling you that this is the number one exercise, it's like, fuck you. Like, no, it's not. It's the best for you, and you can recommend it, but it doesn't mean it's the best for everyone. Like, what would your number one exercise be for you?
For me, my number one, it's deadlifts. I love deadlifts. So that's been my number one from I was 18 till now. But
you actually have like the back density to corroborate that too. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if like I popped the Knut photo in the chat if you want to check
yeah.
him out because I don't know if you've seen him like compete, but like he's got like crazy back density. That was the first thing I really noticed. I sent you like he's doing a side chest though.
I don't think you can see much from that. What photo did you post? Ah, that one.
And he competes in classic, by the way.
Oh yeah, this is a good one. Wow, really? Jeez.
But I still have 4 kilos that I can put on for classic from that weight. So this, and that's for amateur.
I think that your biggest issue is being European and having like 2 shows you can do ever in a year.
Yeah, but next year they're putting up way more competitions there, NPC, so we can compete.
That's
good. Yeah, that front double's nutty, man. Look good.
He's got a really solid back. Even his front double's one of my favorite poses of his.
Is there a picture of the front double there? Yeah, there's videos and everything from the hotel. You can see this. I can post one. Because one other question was that you should judge me as well. I'll read the question, but give me. I'll find it here.
Yeah, this is what I saw. This is awesome. That vacuum, that waist is ridiculous. Quads, front line spreads crazy.
He's also tall, by the way. You're like what,
like
6'1"?
Abs are ridiculous too, man.
6 feet.
Yeah, head to toe, man. Solid.
There's things that is missing, but I think it's okay.
Biggest thing is I think we had talked about it is like your shoulders get bigger, your arms get a little bigger. Like everything in your core, like your chest, your back, your like abdomen, your legs, like everything else already there.
Yeah, mostly I think.
Maybe hamstring from the back a little bit, but
yeah,
quads are from the front though, man.
That's weird because earlier legs has been like the quads has been way too small for the physique, but this time they didn't shrink on diet.
Mm-hmm.
I had that.
It tells me that you had muscle there this time.
Yeah,
and you're peeled up too, man. You look good.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, Patrick peaked him really well.
I think we peaked really well. This is even the second competition where I feel like I was a little bit more off than the first one. But
look good.
Thank you. But
your back density though is something that I only see in people who deadlift typically, or Phil Heath, as my friends would say. That's what Martin Fitzwater would always say. The only person who can afford not to deadlift is Phil Heath.
Yeah, he's buddy.
Do you want more viewer questions? Maybe we should introduce him to Twitch chat as well. Do you want to see? Maybe they can ask you questions live.
Oh yeah. Wait, do we want to just like put him up to a live feed and like show him it outright?
We could, or we could just if you're at your computer, then you could just open up and you can see chat yourself. I can send you a link.
Sure.
A lot of ones here.
But you
play video games?
Do
you play video games, Carlos?
I kind of got away from that a while ago. I don't know why. But I just bought a Nintendo. Was it Switch?
Yeah. Dude, the Switch is sick. I love having the Switch, man. It's really useful.
If you click that link and just mute the sound so you don't need to hear us double, then you have the chat on the right side. People, be nice.
This is a very what we like to call this in Twitch is gotchi. I don't know if you're probably not familiar with the concept of gotchi, but it's that would take a whole like lecture, to be honest with you. Just know like check it sus. Check it sus.
Okay, here we go.
I don't think you can see the extra emotes anyway, but
yeah, he won't be able to see the emotes. He's just seeing like the typed out things. I wish I would push Chatterino on you, but like you're never gonna open this again, so there's no point. That is a good question. What is your favorite meal of the day, and what does it consist of? I have a meal I always look forward to.
My favorite meal, at the moment, it's actually my breakfast. And it's kind of simple. I have like the Pride Foods taco flavored rice and grind.
Is that good, man? I saw that.
It's good, dude. It's really good, and it's really good because I have like I'm not eating egg whites in the morning, so I just have chicken. So I'll just put the chicken in the taco like taco flavored rice and grinds, and it's like It's really good. It's like savory. It's savory, but the sodium in it is really high, dude. It's like, well, it's like it's like you're definitely getting your daily values of sodium, your projected daily values of sodium in there, but it's good. And then my second favorite meal would be like I get like steak and rice. I love that meal. It's like good, like a good steak. It's always
That's the
all
best.
yeah,
That's the best thing about shooting with Iron Rebel is that all we eat is like
yeah.
filet for the whole week. It's all Luke ever cooks.
They make all the food.
Dude, this one guy wants to know if you've broken your toilet seat, and he's asked it like in fucking not only in the Discord but also through chat, and I don't understand it. Have you broken your toilet seat?
Let's see.
He also asked normal questions, and then he asked about the toilet seat. He's asked multiple normal questions.
Carlos' opinion on training on empty stomach.
Yeah, I don't really train on your stomach. And if you want to train like I would say probably have like a big meal the night before, and then maybe like I would do like maybe some protein with a fast digesting carbohydrate with like maybe a tablespoon of peanut butter or some olive oil or something like that in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're good to go.
That's interesting. Olive oil is something is that always your go-to like added fat?
Macadamia nuts taste better.
Yeah, I was gonna say macadamia nut oil or like even ghee. I'll take ghee over that, dude.
But macadamia nut oil doesn't taste anything.
And I think it has like a good buttery taste to it. Actually, that's the ones I use.
It's a saturated fat, so it's not an omega-6. That's what's interesting about macadamia nut oil. Or I don't know if the oil is. I know macadamia nuts are high in saturated fat though. Like they're not like a high omega-6 or 9, so it tends to be like anti-inflammatory from what I know. That's why a lot of bodybuilders really.
You do MCT oil? No, I don't do MCT oil.
They have asked a lot of fucking keto questions in here.
That's because I've been talking so much negative about keto, so they want to ask all the mean questions. That's the same with the broken toilet seat and everything. That's why he gets those questions.
I didn't think anything about the bodybuilding industry. I think I'm just trying to do that as I get into the industry. It's just like this. I think there needs to be a lot more camaraderie in it. Like it's like I post a picture of me and Nick Walker, doing like a front double bicep, and people are like, "Well, Carlos will never beat Nick Walker." I'm like, dude, why are you trying to put us against each other?
You can't even.
Yeah.
Nick Walker fans are going to be the death of you. You can't even listen. That has got to be the worst fan. That is the Ice Poseidon fandom of bodybuilding, and anyone who knows Twitch will know what that is. Like what they did to Hunter Labrada after beating him had to have been the most annoying thing I'd ever witnessed.
What did I do? Nick's fan base?
Yeah, Nick's fan base.
No idea that me and Nick are talking about making collaborations and stuff like that. Like we're buddies, so it's this thing like. Trying to put people against each other. I know it needs like a storyline, but the storyline doesn't have to be predicated off of like negativity, right? At least in my opinion.
Yeah. But this is just welcome to the internet. That's how it is. They try to make drama out of everything. It's the same on Twitch. It's the same on YouTube. Probably on Instagram and in the bodybuilding as well. Exactly the same.
No, it's interesting too because it's a very small circle like Twitch is as well. Most of these people are friends, like most of these people know each other or communicate with each other.
Competed. I think the NPC Nationals line was great. Super Heavies was awesome. All the way down to like the lightweights and whatever, man. It was good. My best shape ever. I definitely think I can be better. But I don't know if you joined in earlier. I kind of talked about the last minute changes we made to kind of help me bring myself into that kind of shape because. Kept on the way I was kind of trending, I would have not been successful at all. So, could I be better? Yes. So I think I can definitely, make some improvements.
Now it's lagging a bit again. Now we can't hear you either. We can see you smiling, but no sound.
He's coming back.
It's
gonna just be a second.
Maybe it is the stream open at the same time. That is the problem. Carlos, can you hear us?
I believe in this. We'll be good. Carlos.
Change this so we can try again. But I don't think it is since we can hear each other.
He's gonna grab his meal real quick.
Yeah. And then I can go to the toilet.
Yeah, cool. Let's do it.
Let's have a 2-minute break.
Cool. What's up, chat? How we doing? Welcome in. I don't normally talk enough anyway, so why not just talk over the break, right? How are things, guys? I know someone who pees 15 times a day. Should he see a doctor? No, I mean, I don't know, man. Is he filtering out, like, is it just constant water? He could just be pissing, like, just pushing water through and not filtering through his kidney, then maybe. I don't know. That's a lot of pee. It just depends on how much, man. It just depends on how much. We're doing good. Man, I'm doing well, guys. Yes, I do talk a lot. I just turned on chat and they were like, stop talking over the guest. And I'm like, dude, I know. But this is my friend and I like get excited about talking with him. So thank you guys for letting me know because I'll just keep fucking talking. It's awful. It's just my gut instinct all the time. Is like, oh, I want to talk about that too. Is he doing SST too or what? What the fuck is SST, dog? What is that? Guy went into catabolic state. He expended all of his energy. He's a hyper efficient. Knut broke his toilet? I thought you were just like a fetishist, dude. I thought you were just someone who wanted to hear about a big muscular dude breaking his toilet. And you have to realize, man, that's what the internet is like. Like that happens on the, like, I have people come into my chat and just try to like bait me into talking about things sometimes. Like, this dude was trying to get me to talk about a time, like what I would do. He wanted to know what I would do if someone walked in while I was having sex with someone. And he kept pushing this. And I'm like, I don't fucking know, man. Why are you, like, I was talking about, I didn't realize, so you broke your toilet, Knut. I didn't realize this. And I thought that this Mohaidas guy was just like a fetishist. Like, like there was this one dude who would come in and he just like wanted to hear about a big muscular dude breaking his toilet. I thought that's his whole objective. It's like, stop it, dude. like, because I have people come into my chat and do that shit. Well, they'll be like, what would you do if someone came in while you were having sex with someone? Would you keep having sex with them? And I'm like, is that what you want me to say? Is that like, do you want to hear me say it? They would like clip every response. It was so weird, man. The internet's strange. You guys are weird. Where's Carlos? Carlos's computer died, but he'll be back. He's just gonna grab a meal and he'll get back up. And then all the chat questions can do it. You should come Knut's chat more. Knut is like the only streamer whose chat I come into at all. I've got like I do other things throughout my day, man. I'm busy.
Yeah.
Knut, how much time do you spend in other people's chats? Like very seldom.
Not much anymore because I stream so much myself. So if I'm in someone else's chat, it's when I'm live.
Yeah, no, I the only time I ever pop into people's chats is like either before or after I stream. So it's either like the person I'll read out to or like if I'm waiting to go live, I'll message that. Carlos, guys, is I didn't want to speak him up too much, man, but he's maybe one of the kindest, most like earnest people in bodybuilding, and that dude's going to do so fucking well. So well. He'll be Mr. Olympia one day. And I can say that because he's not listening right now, but he'll definitely be Mr. Olympia. What is one food that you wish you could add to your diet if it didn't affect your physique? Ask this question. Okay, weird. I'll ask him. Yeah. I wonder what I'll say there, man. Changing my laptop, fixing my meal. Hold on. I'm just take your time.
Just tell him it's Twitch. This doesn't matter. We can have
there's no
time limit.
Dude, you should show them more of Carlos. Do you guys understand how nuts he is? Like, do you guys
we have watched his Instagram.
You did?
Yeah, we have been looking at some pictures.
Yeah. He's so good, man. Oh, is that a carbless meal? Is that carbless? There's no rice in there?
Oh, no, it's potatoes.
Yeah, I don't know what SST is. What is that?
It only goes in other chats to troll. That is maybe correct.
SST meeting. Here I am Googling it like a fucking normie. Social skills training?
Yeah, there's some videos of him, even with Larry Wheels down in Dubai.
Oh yeah. I was so worried when he did that, dude.
The question, one of the questions, or in the question, was, can you tell Larry Wheels to fix his form next time you meet? That was from Midas as well.
Dude, I do not. I don't know. It's interesting. Carlos is so nice that he'll like. I always appreciate the fact that he will not allow, like, if I mention something about the company, he'll be like, but they're great, and it's like they all are, and that's an important thing. But he will say he's super strong and he's going to continue to lift really heavy weight and his form is great or something, you know. I was so worried Carlos was going to go and like just fucking ruin his body doing that, because it was like shortly after that dude blew his entire pec off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? The guy like Ryan. This is a dude I know, by the way. It was fucking awful. Dude was huge too. He's like my height and fucking.
He has been on my stream.
Wait, really?
In when I was in Birmingham.
Oh, you mean like he was there?
No, he was there, but he was also talking to chat.
Oh no shit. That's cool. I didn't. So he's like a Twitch dude. Like he's
No,
on Twitch?
he wasn't on Twitch. He was just on my stream in the gym in Birmingham.
It's crazy that like that horrific injury ended up being like one of the like that like made his career in a way. He had this horrific like almost like career-ending injury that then gave him like a different career. Very strange, dude.
Yeah.
Very strange.
But bodybuilding wise, I think it ruined his career. After I saw he has just competed.
He did? Really? What?
Yes. We're looking at pictures.
I have to look at this.
And you can see that it can't be really fixed.
No, I mean, like, he pulled that thing off his fucking bone, man. Like, the whole thing was... I mean, like, more power to him, man. I hope he does well, but... I mean, it...
I can show them Carlos there. Some posing. Off-season posing from October. Some posting training while we're waiting.
Let me pull up your stream. My computer's so shit, dude. I can't have like OBS virtual cam running and this. Like, it ruins. Like, I cannot wait. I'm about to start training someone, and I'm just gonna ask them to give me their old computer. I don't need any money. Like, just give me your hand-me-down computer. I can learn to play cool games.
Those legs poop, yeah.
Dude, his legs are insane. And it's also like his ham hang. It's like what he gets from the side. That's so impressive.
But it's everything.
Carlos is gotta be
complete.
the most amazing. Like he's gonna do so well. Even his chest split is like aesthetic, you know? Like he's like a chest split is normally never a good thing. His looks good. It's like a perfectly symmetrical split.
Carlos is such a nice guy. Can he give tips to Knut to not mold his diet?
Who is this guy? From a CPA judge? I don't even know who that guy is.
I don't know who it is. It was the first thing that appeared on YouTube.
Yeah, Carlos is insane. I love working with HD too. They were the best company to work with as a videographer, because all they wanted was raw footage. They didn't care at all. I would just have to go and film them and send it, and they paid like full rates. Because they had an in-house editor, so life was very, very easy. And their editor's awesome. There's Laura. I think she's probably filming right there. What's his background? Like ethnicity? It's a good question. I'm not entirely sure. We'll ask him. Yeah, he's very dense, man. I think that like one of the things that'll elevate his physique is just getting more back density, and the more density he puts into his spinal column and like erectors, spinal column is erectors, things that surround the spinal column, the better he'll look.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're still fucking amazing. Obviously, it's not like it has to be a thing.
North Africa, dumbass.
Don't ask him that dumb AF question. What's his ethnicity? I've asked him before. You know, he like again. You can have like a number of ethnic backgrounds, or like at least like ancestral background. You know, like you could be Dominican, could be anything Afro-Caribbean. You don't know. It's an interesting question. He would not be offended if you asked.
At least we can say it's good genetics.
Yeah, whatever
it is.
It's Need a crazy bodybuilder.
Yeah.
I wonder if we could find his high school football, like his college football highlights.
The arms
I've
as
never
well,
looked this up.
Kaisaro, it's just insane.
Yeah, his arms are terrifyingly large, man. I haven't seen someone like that, like, really ever. Like, the arms are crazy. They look bigger. They look better than Nick Walker's. Anyone who doesn't think that Carlos will beat Nick Walker is fucking wrong. Not to pin them against each other, but like if Carlos comes in with
Like,
great conditioning, he'll win.
Yeah, it's especially because of the midsection.
Yeah, I mean, dude, anytime I go through any injections involved with this kind of physique, are you asking if he's natty? Yes, he's not only natty, but he's vegan. He's never consumed meat in his life. Yeah, dude, the shape is just unreal. It's really not comparable to me.
No. Even the quads looks way better. Or maybe especially the quads.
I don't like Nick Walker's quads very much. To me, they're like not. They're really detailed, but they don't have a lot of like fullness to them. You know, it seems like weirdly like flat and veiny. I guess like he gets lean, but he doesn't have the same kind of pop.
Yeah, he said go. The go guy said, "Sorry, I'm noob to this culture." Like,
oh, okay, yeah.
The real answer is natty at this level doesn't exist.
Yeah,
That's
anyone who's claiming it is
lying.
Probably not even at this level. I don't know any bodybuilder who's like winning an open bodybuilding show who would ever do it.
No.
I know some people who claim to have gone pro in classic, you know, like Keon claimed that for a while. I mean, he still claims it, that he went pro in classic naturally, and that he got to the Arnold and competed well at the Arnold naturally and didn't start anything until he was going to the Olympia. It's hard to believe, but if anyone's going to do that, it's probably him. And if you look at anything he did, it's like, yeah, he didn't really have like super developed traps or shoulders or anything. He just had great structure.
And Coleman as well, that's believable because of how he exploded.
If anyone is going to be getting to the Olympia as an open bodybuilder naturally, it's going to be Ronnie Coleman. And then, you know, when they say that he started doing something, yeah, it looks like it, you know, like the change is track, you know,
from a bit above 220 till 280.
Yeah, that's and that's not just a great that's not just like a first cycle response. That's like an elite first cycle response like ever. Like that might be one of the best ones ever in history. So if that wasn't his first cycle, he's even crazier, and he was clearly doing something wrong before. You know. Yeah, this is crazy. When was this video from? I can't. September. It looks like
October.
God, I can't read your.
2nd of October, 21.
Oh, okay. I just saw an S right there. That might be views or something. What is that word next to 11,000?
Set views.
Okay.
Do you think he can win Olympia? He can.
He'll have like 5-6 years until he's probably there.
He will have to develop. He will have to develop his physique to be even bigger, even better. But of course, you can never say like 100% this guy will win, because you can never know which other guys just coming up. But he's one of the guys that has the potential to be the Olympia winner.
100%. How old is Carlos? I think he just turned 29.
Yeah.
He was 28 when I met him. I think he said that.
I think he said 29.
He's also like 5'6", I think. 5'5" to 5'7", somewhere in that ballpark is what I think he is. You can see it. Like he was. Where does he live? I don't know if he wants to say that, but not in Texas. He doesn't live near me. We can ask him, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Peak age is normally around mid-30s, Cubsters.
Yeah.
Typically.
You peak around your mid-30s, and you can hold it like for some years, up to maybe till you're 40.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, if you have the longevity, you can... I mean, Sean Roden, I think, won the Olympia at 41 or something like that, so...
Yeah.
It's just a matter of, again, how you treat your body and like how much. I think it has a lot to do with your mileage as a bodybuilder as well, man.
Yeah. I have some
I think that,
examples of people just training themselves into pieces.
Yeah, man.
Training,
No, I mean,
lifting to heavy weights all the time. Not being like lifting Larry style in the gym, and they tear everything.
just as Larry does, you know. It's like the Branch Warren method of like just make the weight move. Doesn't matter how you do it, just make it move as many times as you can until it won't move anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, man. Branch had kind of a weirdly long career though. That dude is just hardy. And he finished like, what was his top placement? Like second at the Olympia? Like, it
I'm
worked
not
for
sure.
him. It's just whether or not I would ever recommend it to anyone is not exactly there, man. Who's the youngest and oldest Mr. Olympia? I don't know who the youngest would be. And that's also the difference between like modern era and like, I think it'd probably be Arnold would probably be one of the youngest Mr. Olympias ever. But, you know.
He finished at 6th place, 2015. Branch Warren.
Who did?
Branch.
Oh, Branch. Oh.
And a 2nd place in Arnold Classic.
Oh, so he's never. That was his highest placement at the Olympia was 6th.
That I'm not sure about. Wait, that was the last Olympia. 6th, 2014. 9th, 13. 5th in 12. 3rd, Mr. Olympia 2010. 2nd in Olympia 2009. That's the highest.
Interesting. Still amazing for a very ugly physique, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just very dense, very developed, but very, very not pretty. But again, like there are a lot of those in history, you know. Like I don't know. It's strange. Like Nick Walker, for instance, has like made his physique attractive over time, but I would not have put him there immediately, you know. 2012 first place. Oh shit.
Let's have a look. Branch Warren Arnold. Branch Warren 1st place in Arnold Classic 2012.
You don't understand how people praise his workout style because it's just blind fucking, you know, admiration and nothing else if they praise his workout style. It's clearly not good for him. He's just riddled with injuries. And like his physique never really...
He tore everything as well.
Yeah. And like, you know, it's not really a pretty physique.
No.
You know?
He was raped. He had a lot of muscle.
This isn't even a very good showing from him, to be honest. Like, he does not look very lean here.
No.
Or at least like he looks like he's still holding water. This is him at 37. He's nice, though. I mean, he's like a cool dude to talk with and everything.
Yeah.
He's got a cool jerky company.
Beef jerky?
Yeah. Called like Wicked Cuts or something like that. And he also, like, I don't know, he takes everyone in the Gasp team out to shoot on his range. Like, he's got, like, this whole, like, tactical gun range thing.
I've seen it.
It's very strange to watch.
It was the most ridiculous thing I've seen. Dude, Branch Warren running.
Hold on, I gotta show you this meme that they made of Hunter Labrada there.
Yeah, send it.
It was like a video meme they made of him doing that.
Let's see.
Just gotta find
exploded potatoes.
You know what I've been I think I'm gonna start switching carb sources. I've been like really wanting sweet potatoes lately. I have a ton of sweet potatoes in there.
Well, I don't think it matters that much if you switch out your regular potatoes with some sweet potatoes. That's fine.
Not at all. I've just been wanting them. Like I was thinking about it today for the first time in a while. Hold on. All right, I'm dropping this to you. It's a little edgy, but it's fucking good.
Let's see. And it turn down the volume.
Is the guy that doesn't compete criticizing others? Yes. That is exactly what's happening, probably.
I like Baldwin.
It looks so funny watching these giant bodybuilders doing this, man.
Yeah. I saw a video, I'm not sure whose story it was, but it was Bran Shoren running behind someone on that course of his. I was laughing, so like it looked like a short guy that looked insane. I could barely walk.
Yeah.
It looked like.
That's how he always. It's always so strange watching that dude move, because he's like he just looks like he's really beating his body to shit, you know. And guys, you gotta know this, man. Like, anytime you're talking bodybuilding, it's not a matter of every single pro bodybuilder has an unbelievable fucking physique. Every single one of them is an unbelievable physique. That's not at all like when you're comparing bodybuilders, you're comparing them on a very like relatively well-defined criteria, you know.
Yeah. You're not comparing them to amateurs or beach bodies.
Yeah, I'm not saying that the dude is like that he doesn't know what he's doing or that he's not a great bodybuilder in his own right. It's just like, you know, it's a totally different kind of, what you're talking about is based on like literal criteria for bodybuilding, you know?
Yeah.
And like, again, like, dude, I'm just watching Branch and Johnny train right now on another tab, and it's crazy. Like, I wouldn't recommend this to anyone ever in a million years. There's no way it's the best, like, but you know, it worked for them, and it's what they like. At the end of the day, too, I think more than anything, it's what they enjoy doing. They would not want to train in a way that's more methodical. It's so crazy seeing Dennis Wolf now, dude.
Yeah, but he looks better again. Like, he looks more healthy, because after his injury, I think he looked sick.
Oh, really?
Yeah, almost. But it might just be because of his face. I can show you a picture.
Yeah. That's another thing, man. Is like water retention's fucking crazy.
No, but it was more. Let me just see.
If you could achieve any body in history of bodybuilding from all classes, but you couldn't compete, who would you choose? I mean, fuck, man. I wouldn't pick like a pro bodybuilder. I probably wouldn't pick like an IFBB Open Pro or anything. What would you pick if you could have one person's physique, but you could never compete? I guess is the thing. So it's not a.
If I could choose physique, any physique,
yeah.
Ronnie Coleman.
Like, just to walk around in a day-to-day context,
or compete.
I mean, like, he's amazing. You can't. I mean, it's
or
you can
Jay
never
Cutler,
compete, though.
or Jay Cutler. Maybe Jay Cutler instead. I mean, no, if you can't compete.
Yeah. Let's say like there's no health complication there either, though. You know.
That was to be. Well, that's maybe a bit.
It's just like what you want to look like.
It's unnecessary to look like Coleman or Cutler if you can't compete.
Yeah, very weird. Flex Wheeler's not a bad choice.
Yeah, I was thinking about Flex Wheeler. Or just Chris Bumstead.
Bumstead looks very normal day to day too.
Yeah.
What do I think about Chris Bumstead? That he's fucking amazing, dude. What do you mean? Like, it's hard to even have an opinion on Chris. Like, he's undeniably amazing as a bodybuilder. He's classic physique. Like, he has an intangible quality to his physique that's very aesthetic. And even in the, like, he's got true weak points, you know? Like, his arms are not aesthetic at all. Like, he does not have great arms. Still an amazing, amazing competitor. There's no, you can't take that away from him, man. The dude's amazing.
Yeah.
Fucking insane. Yeah, no, 100%. Guys, Carlos is 100% an open bodybuilder, dude. He was like 245 on stage or something. Flex Wheeler isn't natty. No.
If you see this picture of Dennis Wolf, this is new. December. I think he looks healthy. He looks good. It doesn't look like before when he was big, but he looks healthy and he looks good. And this is now.
Okay.
But if you go,
Yeah.
if we go a little bit back, I'll show you. How far back do we have to go?
Legit looks
If we go
like
more to this, I think his face looks almost a bit sick. This is after, how far? This isn't more like half a year ago. Maybe
he was such a great bodybuilder, dude. He's got such an aesthetic frame.
one of the best.
Yeah.
Or this one. He looks so skinny that he looks sick.
Interesting, yeah. Huh.
But you saw that newer picture, he looked way better.
Yeah, by a landslide. Yeah, that's small. That's also another thing, man, is like finding a way to transition into a healthier look after bodybuilding has to be a very tall order for people, man.
Hair as
I
well?
couldn't imagine. He needs some collagen. I think supplementing collagen peptides is pretty, like, I notice a difference in my skin and hair health. Whether or not it's placebo, I don't know. Yeah, man, Jesus, it's crazy to see people just not look like